I think most of us have gone on a date that we knew was a no, but we've stuck around for months because we couldn't tell the difference in our body.
That just makes me think of feeling a no on a date and then riding it out for the whole date. I thought that's what you're going to say. You're like, no, no, no. We're not even talking about riding it out for the whole date. We're talking about riding it out for months,
Yes.
riding it out and calling it a relationship. So these might be things where on paper, there's elements of this connection with this person that feel good and are good, right? Maybe they're nice. Maybe you like the same things. Maybe you want the same type of relationship, but there's some piece that just doesn't quite feel right or feels off, and we don't pay attention to it and we don't even realize it's there, or we see it and deliberately try to smush it away and pretend it isn't there. Or I think what I've done is just convinced myself, oh, I like all these other things about this person. We'll figure this out. I'll figure this out. Let's push forward, push ahead.
Yeah. For me, this was about hotness. So there was two sides for me. There was, oh, hot guys will be mean in some way to me. So I'm going to swing the other direction to guys who are not hot, but are nice. And when I say not hot, this is a very personal thing. Somebody would have thought they were hot, just I didn't. So it was either hot guys are mean, nice guys are not hot. That was the dichotomy in my mind. So I was overriding everything in both of those. I wasn't able to sit with a hot guy who was nice. I just had the story, right? So I was overriding there, and I wasn't able to, the not hot guy just didn't work out because I wasn't attracted to him. But I was accustomed to overriding all of everything within me because that's all I'd ever been taught to do.
Right. So not paying attention to the entirety, the whole truth, the whole of what you're experiencing, because we're used to just looking at slivers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One sliver that for me always sort of went over well was if you're nice.
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up in a family where, as much as my parents loved me, they weren't always nice. They didn't always say nice things to me. They weren't always complimentary. And so if you were a nice guy and you said nice things to me, I was like, all right, you're in. I want to use the word forgot, but it's not even forgot. I didn't forget to look at the other elements because I didn't even know that it was important to look at the other elements.
Yeah, for sure. And so this is something that starts really, really early. And I see this with my friends who've got kids today compared to how things were when we were kids, and the way they're not teaching their kids to override their sensory experience, which is the entire system that gives us information. Being told to eat all your food when you don't want it, being told to sit still when you want to move. There's so many ways that we're taught to ignore our experience. And this is what we're carrying forward into a date, into choosing a date, into deciding who we're going to pair with in the long term.
Yeah. And, when you talk about well-meaning parents wanting to feed us more, I came from a family where a grandma or an auntie or your mother would actually chase you around the house with a spoonful of food until you finished eating everything. So there's no regard for, oh, your body, your tummy is telling you you're full. Let's stop. It's no, apparently other people know better how my body feels. If, I've seen kids fall down at the park and well-meaning parents say, oh no, you're fine. And this kid looks like distraught.
Yeah.
Like they're frightened, they're hurt, something's not feeling well. And right after distraught and scared, what I see on their face is confused.
Mm-hmm.
Because their body is telling them one thing and their trusted big person is telling them, you're fine. You're not hurt. It's okay. So no wonder so many of us, when we're in dating situations, will completely ignore our own inner knowing because we already don't trust it. We've been trained to believe that someone outside of us, it could be friends, it could be family, it could be some dating expert, knows better what feels right for me and what I need in this moment or what I need in this relationship. And so I love that we're talking about this of like learning how to notice and feel and sense and understand our own body signals and learning to trust them.
Yeah. And so we've got a really powerful layer on top of all that childhood conditioning when it comes to romantic relationship. And that is our yearning for connection and to fulfill the story that we're already writing in our minds. So I want to give you a personal example here of a time when I was really invested in a relationship working. And so just for a little foundation here, I had been married, was getting divorced. In the process of the divorce, I reconnected with this guy I'd been in love with in high school, this crazy chemical romance. And 20 years later, he reaches out to me. I was like, oh my God, like it's magic time, right? So I've got this story of magic on top of it. So I'd moved back across the country. We'd had this 3 months of reconnecting online and chatting. So this huge buildup, right? There's a lot at stake here now. And I've written the story. The story is complete. I'm just now going to step into this romance that will last forever and feel exactly the way I want it to.
Of course.
With a whole body that's overridden everything always and wouldn't even have known what I was talking about today. So I meet him. He picks me up. I get into his car. Everything is a no immediately. There's no way I could ever be with a man whose car is in the state it's in. Okay.
Oh dear.
But then he tells me, oh, okay, now this actually gets a bit worse. He's like, oh, you're going to laugh. This is actually my ex-girlfriend's car.
Oh, well, in that case, it's fine. In that case, you can still be my husband, obviously.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean,
This plan will work. My plan will work. Yeah.
my plan will work. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't your fault. Not thinking anything about like, why are you driving your ex-girlfriend's car? Like none of this. All I wanted was passionate romance. So super easy to override every signal that your body's giving you. And I probably didn't realize that my body was giving me those signals until like 3 years later. So, don't feel bad if you're missing the signals.
It took me years and years because I didn't know what to look for. If anything, I thought I just have to think better. If I know the rules better, if I know what to look out for better, like intellectually, I will choose better. That wasn't the answer.
Yeah. So what you're literally saying is I need someone to tell me how to think and feel. And sorry, y'all. I mean, even as you're here listening to us and you're hopeful that we'll tell you how to think and feel, what we're actually telling you is that your body is going to tell you how to do that. And we will show you how to do it for yourself.
Yes.
So what is the cost of not knowing this stuff in your body, right? It might be obvious to someone who's been in a relationship that didn't actually feel good for years, but even for those people, it might still not be super obvious because everything looks good on paper, right? So I know you want to say something about the overriding of no's, which is a nuanced event in itself.
Yes. So I think for many years, I was part of the Overriders Club, which means my body probably was giving me some type of sign it was no, although I wasn't registering it as that. But my brain would give me some no's and I would talk myself out of them. And so if you are part of the Overriders Club, then it is really crucial that we start to get very curious about our no's, that we stay with it a little longer, that we are willing to explore it a little bit. Like, what's happening for me that my body and my mind are starting to give me some hints, signals, loud bashes on the head that this might be a no that's important to listen to. Now, some of you might think, hooray, like, oh, if my body says a no, I'm out, check out completely, free pass. I can get out of this date. I can get out of this relationship. And that's not exactly what we're saying. We're saying there's nuance here. If you find that you're part of a different club, maybe the runners club, I've been in that club briefly, most of my time as an overrider, but if you tend to be able to find almost any excuse why someone is not very likable, why this relationship just won't work, you're probably going to want to grow the opposite muscle to hang out and stay curious a little longer and just data collect a little longer. No one's saying you should completely ignore your no and your no's are wrong. This is not what that's about. This is, can we feel that no that probably developed as some type of protective pattern for ourselves and just, where's my little bell? I usually have a little bell. Ring your bell and say, oh, the no is here. It's sounding. And I'm just going to stick it out. I'm going to lean in. I'm going to stay curious in this connection and see what happens next. And you might even notice you're pleasantly surprised. Something decent or nice might be on the other side of the usual pattern to just ditch the situation and run.
Yeah, this is the thing. If you're here listening to this, it's not because your patterns are working beautifully, right? So we're going to ask you to actually step out of them and try the opposite. If you've been running a certain program, we're going to ask you to pause that program and try the opposite or try some alternative thing. And in this case, when we're talking about overriding our senses and you are maybe experiencing a no, what we want you to notice is that your body is telling you no. That doesn't mean you have to do anything about it, but a no that you can't explain is still a no.
Mm-hmm. Register it. I think register and stay curious.
So we've said a couple things about no's here, but generally speaking, your body is going to give you 3 responses, and those will be yes, no, and maybe, which you might also call I don't know. And the trap we fall into here is that we desire certainty and we have urgency generally, and especially when it's a situation where you're on a date, especially if you're trying to pace and get to know somebody and slow date, you're going to be consciously or unconsciously looking for some kind of certainty in a situation that doesn't call for certainty at all. I would argue that there's no certainty about almost anything, which is a very disturbing sensation for people. And we do a lot of growing into the feeling of uncertainty and how to hold it. This is especially true when it comes to yes, no, and maybes about meeting somebody new.
Learning these categories was so important for me when I was in that dating phase. When you grow up the way I grew up, maybe how you grew up, nobody cared about my yes, no, or maybe. Nobody even said that those were options for me to consider. Definitely not that anyone was going to take that into account in the final decision making of how we do things.
Right.
So the idea that you would know your yes, no, maybes can feel very foreign and also super overwhelming. But good thing we're going to show you really simple, practical ways to start getting to know these yes, no's, and maybes.